Welcome back to class, everybody. Welcome back to class. Welcome back to class. Welcome back to class. Don't be a pain in the ass. Be vegan from now on. Be vegan from now on. Be vegan from now on. Like this guy, lifting vegan logic. He has been a student here before, and the last time he did a presentation, I think he did pretty well. So let's see how he does today. Everybody get your notepads ready. Write down lifting vegan logic. And we're going to put an X if he says something that we don't like. And if he says something good, we're going to put a check mark. So let's listen. Oh, at the end, we're going to have either you failed or you passed. So let's see how he does. Oh, by the way, if you haven't yet known about this, this is my Instagram account. A lot of people ask me about it, and I really don't pay that much attention to it, but people say I should pay a little bit more attention. So I don't know. We'll see. That vegan teacher, Miss Katie. Okay, it's all one sentence, like all one word, no underscores, no nothing. There's many fake accounts like that, but if you want, you can just take a screenshot of this or just memorize it. That vegan teacher, Miss Katie, and a Katie is with a KADIE. All right, let's get right into this and let's listen to lifting vegan logic. What is he going to talk about? He's talking about debunking Bernie Sanders' recent take on vegan animal rights. It's bad. Ooh, okay, let's see.
Has been at the center of some of the biggest corporate takeovers and investments. Now the man known as the Lone Wolf of Wall Street is taking on the world's biggest fast food chain over its treatment of pigs. Ooh. Over the weekend, Icon launched a
Okay, so let's stop right here. So this is Vegan Logic's Lifting Vegan Logic's presentation, and he's already talking about the treatment of pigs, so he gets a check mark for that. That is what we want to see on this channel. We want to see talking about the animals. So good job. First check mark of the day.
Battle with McDonald's by nominating 2 new directors to the company's board. Icon has asked the fast food chain to stop sourcing pork from farmers who use so-called gestation stalls. They're small crates for pregnant pigs, which have been widely criticized as inhumane.
They are inhumane.
Icon, who owns a small stake in McDonald's, says his motivation has nothing to do with making a profit.
I think there's a way that I can be really helpful to seeing that happen, because I think that's a situation that's just horrible. It's obscene.
All right, good. He thinks that the animal suffering is horrible. Good job.
You got these companies making all this money and these animals just suffering for no reason.
Hey, what is going on, guys? So today we have an interesting video concerning past presidential candidate Bernie Sanders and a tweet he made in regards to McDonald's and their horrific treatment of the pigs, which they mass genocide for profit. In short,
okay, so first of all, good job showing a picture of what they go through. A picture is like painting 1,000 words. People need to really see what's going on. As you could see there, the animals are very tightly pressed together. They can't even turn around. So thank you for showing that, Danny. I think that's your name, right, Danny? Thank you very much for that.
Bernie Sanders retweeted another tweet which had to do with billionaire investor Carl Icahn. The tweet said, "The billionaire investor Carl Icahn began battling McDonald's in his usual fashion, buying shares and pushing his own board candidates. What's different this time? Icahn is asking for better treatment for the pigs whose meat goes into McDonald's products."
Good for
Bernie
him.
Sanders ended up retweeting the specific tweet and said, "Yes, it's important that McDonald's pigs be treated humanely, but maybe it's more important that we take care of the humans who work there by paying them a living wage and making it easier for them to form a union, instead of spending $15 billion on stock buybacks to enrich the wealthy."
Oh boy, that is absolutely ridiculous. Why can we not take care of everybody? Does he actually think that the incredible suffering and torture that the animals go through is as bad as McDonald's workers who are literally inside, not getting tortured, who have an ability to get to the bathroom, an ability to have food, ability to come and go, as opposed to a mother pig who cannot move, who cannot turn around? Pigs are sentient beings like dogs and cats, and they deserve their freedom and not to be tortured for their entire lives. So thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Now, given this YouTube channel is primarily focused on animal rights, I want to focus on the part of Bernie's tweets concerning pigs. I found what he said very interesting. He implied that he thinks, although McDonald's pigs being treated better is important, maybe it is more important that we take care of the humans who work at McDonald's and give them a living wage. Let's really think.
We don't want anybody to suffer. But why can we not deal with both of these issues at the same time?
Think about this for a second. While I 100% agree that people should be paid a living wage, and without a doubt, this is an important issue to tackle, what does it really mean to say that getting McDonald's workers a living wage is more important than improving the conditions of pigs that are treated poorly for McDonald's products? Is living in your own feces for the majority of your life enduring an environment so stressful that you may be subject to stress.
Okay, I want to just give him some more check marks for this. This is excellent to show what the animals go through in actual real life. People don't believe it, but these pigs suffer terribly. Every time you eat a McDonald's hamburger, you are paying for this kind of torture. Every time you eat bacon, sausage, ham, you are paying for a 6-month-old baby pig to be put in a gas chamber or to have their throat slit for crimes they never committed. So thank you so much for showing this to everybody.
Induce cannibalism, or perhaps being thrown
I don't know if you just heard what he said, but they are sometimes so tightly confined that they go crazy, that sometimes they start to eat each other because there's nothing else to do. Imagine if you were in an elevator with 12 people for your entire life. It's actually even worse than that, because in an elevator, you can at least move around a little bit. You can at least change positions. Look at these poor pigs. Now, these are pigs here that are being sentenced to death. They're in a gas chamber. It is a horrifying death. It is wrong to kill animals who don't want to die, who've never done anything wrong.
Gas chamber, not as bad as working for a corporation who is not paying you a living wage. Do we even need to equate the moral value of pigs to humans to come to the very obvious conclusion that everything I just listed that pigs go through in order to become meat is actually far worse than what McDonald's...
Yes, far worse. Check mark. It is just far worse. And the way that you know that is if you put a pig behind the counter of McDonald's and you put the worker in where the pigs are, you would know that the worker would lose their shit. They would lose their mind. They would know that it is horrific the way that the animals are treated. And just because they are not the same as us in every way doesn't mean that they don't feel. Animals feel pain. They suffer like we do. They don't want to be restricted in their movement. They don't want to be raped and forced to have babies if they don't want to. They don't want to have their babies ripped away from them when they are born, and they don't want to have their throat slit or to be harmed in any way. We need to stop breeding animals.
Go through and not being paid a living wage. Let's do a quick comparison between the average McDonald's employee who is not being paid a living wage to the average pig that has to go through all of these horrific things in order to become a product for McDonald's to sell. Now, clearly, both of these scenarios for the individuals are terrible and both should be solved. But I am making a very specific point here. How can Bernie Sanders come to the conclusion that it is more important for us to give McDonald's employees a living wage than it is for us to stop McDonald's from literally subjecting pigs to lifelong torture, which ends in murder via a gas chamber? A lot of people, especially left-wing leaning vegans, which by the way, I seem to identify with to an extent, say that we shouldn't be making comparisons between different modes of oppression or different levels of oppression with respect to which is worse. But I find that situations like this clearly weren't doing such a thing. I mean, here we have Bernie Sanders, someone with such a massive influence, saying things like one version of oppression is more important to address than a much clearer, worse version of oppression. This is the kind of reasoning behind much of the vegan community's responses to the recent incident concerning Kurt Zuma kicking his cat. People were upset with the kind of mistreatment toward an animal while not being upset with a far worse treatment of animals, that treatment being billions and trillions of animals being bred, commodified, exploited, and murdered every year for trivial reasons such as taste pleasure. And let me just emphasize this one more time. One need not equate the moral value of pigs and McDonald's employees to come to the specific conclusion I'm trying to draw out here. Imagine if we had dogs being tortured their entire lives only to be eventually murdered, and we compared their life condition to an underpaid McDonald's employee. I mean, which is worse? You can easily recognize here that the dog has it significantly worse, and their condition is a much more bad thing than a McDonald's employee being underpaid, all while maintaining the view that a human has more value than a dog, assuming every other factor is held constant. Now, McDonald's has actually responded to Carl's request for McDonald's to source their pigs from more humane sources. In other words, Carl's request for McDonald's to source their pigs from suppliers who commodify and murder pigs more nicely. Nice killing. That definitely makes sense. Anyway, McDonald's has responded saying by the end of 2022, the company expects to source 85% to 90% of its US pork volumes from sows not housed in gestation crates.
I think that he means sows. A sow is a female pig. It's not pronounced a sow. I'm not going to give him an X for that because it's a mistake that maybe he just has never heard of. And we have all made mistakes of this kind. So let's keep going.
Pregnancy. Despite industry-wide challenges for farmers and producers, such as the COVID-19 pandemic and global swine disease outbreaks, The company expects 100% of its U.S. pork will come from sows housed in groups during pregnancy by the end of 2024. Now, let's remember, even if McDonald's begins to source 100% of their murdered pigs from suppliers who rely on sow housing, as opposed to gestation crates, although sow housing is better than gestation crates, committing to this switch does not necessarily address the underlying moral issue here, which is these pigs being commodified, exploited, and murdered. So let that be understood, because I'm sure with this incoming switch to sow houses as opposed to gestation crates in their, suppliers that they get their pigs from, many McDonald's consumers will hear about this and be like, oh, look, the pigs are being ethically processed now, when in reality, they're still going to the same slaughterhouse, being murdered, and of course, just having their rights stripped away from the moment they're born. Just because you lead someone to their murder.
Excellent point. From the moment that they are born, you're absolutely right. They are exploited. We have no right to enslave them. People who go to McDonald's, you are being racist towards animals. You are labeling them. You are pointing at them and saying, your body is not important. Your body will be mine, and I will do whatever I want with it. And that is wrong. So don't exploit animals. Don't eat them. Don't wear them, or don't use them. All of it. Don't do any of it. Leave animals the fuck alone.
In a less bad way than the previously worst way possible does not mean that the murder is now therefore justified. Alrighty, guys.
He's right.
That is the end of the video.
Absolutely. Excellent job. Well, I have nothing but check marks for you. So you've definitely passed this assignment. Thank you very much for being an ethical vegan. Thank you so much for your presentation today. And here is your final score. All check marks. You passed. Good job. Really proud of you. Keep up the excellent work. To those of you who don't yet know, I'm going to show you something that you might not ever have seen, or you might have seen before. I want to show you this because this guy is an ethical animal rights activist. And here's what it is like to be somebody like him. Being vegan is like trying to rescue drowning animals, desperately pulling them out of the water, one by one, and having your family, friends, and everyone around you throwing them back in. Please help us save them. So if you do not yet follow this channel, you absolutely should. Memorize it, Lifting Vegan Logic, and follow all vegan animal defenders. All their channels you should be following. Not just mine, all of them. Thank you so much. Coming up on screen are going to be a bunch of other videos. Click on them, be curious. Back in my archives, there are so many videos. I talk about Gordon Ramsay. I confront him. I confront all kinds of people who think that they are good, but who are evil. SS Sniper Wolf, Call Me Chris, Colleen Ballinger. I've all of these different people, many people. I also praise animal rights activists when they deserve it. Thanks again. I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget, I forgot. Also, don't forget to give yourself a hug. All you vegans out there, and actually even you non-vegans out there who are trying. Okay, every little bit matters. I know I come off tough on this channel a lot, but the reality is every time that you choose a vegan product, you're getting there. It takes 100 clicks to become vegan. You got to get the message in your head and in your heart. You're at the right place to start. Don't forget to press the notification bell to help me get the animals out of hell. Thanks a lot. See you all later. Bye for now.